Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, September the 13th. Hey, we're joined by the usual crowd today. Going to talk a little fishing with Tom, Lee, Gentry, and Tracy. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say about fishing on your favorite body of water. Hey, I'm on the road in a glamping tent. Going to be spending some time with you guys talking fishing with Tracy Robinson, who is on Logan Martin and Lay Lake this week. Tracy, what's going on Logan Martin?
Well, it's kind of turning into September fishing. I thought it got a little tough, Dano. It'd been kind of easy to just to go out and catch some schooling fish and whatnot, but I don't know. It turned into September real fast, and I didn't have a very productive week as far as numbers. I did find a couple of schools of fish on Logan Martin that were still eating bait, and I could catch a lot of numbers, but they were really small. It wasn't like it'd been being for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So I felt kind of like it was in more of a transition type deal at Logan Martin this week, with the fish kind of probably migrating, and I probably lost touch a little bit with them. But at Logan, just keep looking for the bait balls and work your ways into the creek in the falls, and you'll find some of those fish. But it was a little tougher this week.
Yeah, it probably does as it starts to transition. When we start to get the cooler, you think it's going to turn right on, but I think the fish take a little bit to adjust because the water temperature doesn't change that much. All right, let's go to Lay Lake. What's going on there?
Lay Lake, a little bit more simpler fishery. You got grass and points. There's not a lot of options there. So you still got the timber and the grass and the points that are playing there. The grass bite's actually still been pretty good there, and picking up in the flats a lot more. So whenever you get up in those shallows and you're fishing that swim jig, buzz bait around those grass mats and whatnot, frog, whatever you want to throw around there, you're also seeing a few fish blowing up in those flats chasing bait. So a little bit easier to fish at Lay right now. The bite seems to be pretty solid in the flats. I haven't really been offshore any. I know the shallow water bite's been pretty consistent, and not having trouble getting bit up there. So I've stayed up there with that shallow bite.
Well, I think that's the most fun bite there is, and I don't blame you. Being able to be up
Yeah.
there in the shallows throwing square bills and jackhammers and maybe a little topwater, that's fun.
Yes, sir.
How's the flipping bite going on?
I can still get bit a little bit at Lay and some of the thicker stuff, but it seems like that they've kind of pulled out of that thicker mat now, and they're really just kind of more related to the bait fish. So, um, you can still get bit a little, but it's not like it was.
What about crappie fishing? We got about 30 seconds. Are you seeing crappie boats starting to show up out there?
I am. I'm seeing more so at Logan than Lay, but seeing a few at Lay and a lot at Logan. So the crappie bite I know is starting to pick up out there, and I'm seeing them both out on the river and in the creeks. So it's getting to be that time of year.
Brother, we appreciate everything as always. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again next week. Hey, we are joined by Lee Pitts, our local Weiss Lake and Neely Henry expert, the resident expert on those big lakes. Of course, he's the crappie king of Weiss Lake. Let's start there, Lee. What's going on Weiss?
Things are looking pretty good. The fishing's been slow. Uh, that the temperature is getting down. We had a little more heat this week than what we've been having, but the water temperature is still staying pretty steady. Having a little bit of a crankbait bite mid morning, when the shad are moving. Throwing some little DTs and some little traps and things like that, and catching a mixture of some spots and white bass. But as far as the largemouth fishing, it's been a little tougher this week on Weiss. It's September. Things are changing. A lot of the fish are leaving that deep stuff. They're starting to move up a little shallower. The smaller fish are getting there. The bigger fish are kind of in limbo right now. So it's one of those deals where you can kind of chase bait around, looking for some fish coming up schooling, and have something like I've noticed this week that the topwater bite has not been real well. I've tried to force feed them a spook and throw a small buzz bait, and just can't get bit doing it. I've had to go with that square bill and some kind of little shad pattern crankbait, and that's what it's taking right now to catch these fish and just run them down.
All right. I know the crappie bite is kind of starting to show up. What are you seeing out of that?
They're getting there. The fish are still in the deeper places. Some of these bridges on the pylons they're trying to load up on, but we need that water temperature to drop a little bit more. Um, there's enough fish out there that you can go and fish for them right now. You got to move. You catch one or two. The fish kind of bust up. They're really not aggressive right now. You just got to slow down. More vertical approach, getting over some of that brush, finding that wood cover out there deep on the creek channels and on the main river. And even some of our docks, they're not really getting on the dock strong yet, but some of the deeper ones, you're starting to see some fish pull up.
All right, Neely Henry, we got about 40 seconds. Tell me what's going on.
Neely, it's is fishing a little bit better right now, and it's that worm bite. You still got a little bit of grass bite on it, but the biggest thing is we need that current. Once they start moving that water and pulling current, it's like a different world. You can fish uh, hard and fish after and hit the same type structure once they start moving that current and the fish get active. A little bit of a grass bite, you can still punch a jig in there and throw a spinnerbait or something around it. But it's one of those deals too. Square bill, some kind of little crankbait, and then taking the plastics and slow down and get on those docks.
Brother, we appreciate everything. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, who's doing a little bit of fishing himself today. Looking good out there, Gentry. Where are we going to start today? We're going to start at Martin. We're going to start at Jordan Lake.
Let's start at Martin. I got a little bit more information on Martin than I do Jordan, so let's go Martin. I didn't get a chance to go up there. My dad did. I talked to him, and this is actually the first time he's gone up there, since last winter. But the water was dropping. It was clear. It looked good, but man, he said the top water bite he don't know if it was just a bad day, a northeast wind or something. But top water just like dead, nothing. But he was able to get, some good bites, but it was just junk fishing. It was skipping up under docks, throwing a jig, some blowdowns and some rock piles. No, set forth pattern on it, just pretty much junk fishing. Said he saw a lot of bait, saw some schoolers, but, by the time he got there, they were gone. But the 8 to 12 foot range is what he said, like a smaller jig, just a Texas rig trick worm, stuff like that, shaky head.
Sounds good. Did he see any crappie fishing going on, or was that even a topic?
No, never. I never did ask him about that. But as it's cooling down, I would suspect they're pulling up, with the bait.
All right, let's talk Jordan Lake. What's going on there?
Same old Dano, just, keep your top water plug on there. Watch for the ones coming up. The grass bite is starting to pick up a little bit. There's still some smaller fish around it. The big ones ain't really showed up yet. Because it cooled off and got warm and, but if they're pulling water, get in the mouths of the new lake and stuff or run up the river, fish the eddies and the mouths of some of those pockets running up the river. A lot of times this time of year, that bait, gets right there in the mouth of the pockets just to get out of the current.
Yeah, that's a good place to throw that topwater, maybe a super fluke. And then, you know what? It might even be time to bring out that little bit of a spy bait thing out there too and swim that through there.
Yeah, absolutely. I did talk to a friend, said that he was getting them to chase a jerk bait, but when they're around that bait, man, it's hard to get them to commit to your bait when they've got all that when they got a school of bait fish they're eating.
Yeah, one of the ways to go ahead and do that is to kind of upsize and make it look like something bigger that maybe they just have to commit to. Go with a glide bait or something like that.
Yeah, because trying to match the hatch, it's tough. Some, like you said, sometimes a big glide or, even like a big spinner bait, something like that may get them to react a little better.
Gentry, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. You have a great day on the water. You've earned it. We'll talk to you soon. Hey, we're going to talk a little Guntersville fishing. The Icon tournament was up there. It took 23 something to win that last weekend. I know the Ultimate Angler Challenge is coming up here pretty soon. Tom, what's going on? What are these guys finding? I heard the big fish, 8+ at the Icon tailgate tour. That was on a frog. What's happening?
Man, I tell you, Dan, I wouldn't doubt that a bit. it's finding those 8 pounders and all that grass. I think is the trick. I was fortunate enough. I've been able to get out a couple of times this week, and the fishing was really, really positive, to be honest with you. It seemed like, we're really starting to see a lot of fish grouping up together, getting into that fall kind of swing. And a lot of the fish are generally the same size. So, you find the right, about any school, you can get some keepers out of it, but just a lot of fish kind of grouping up, a lot of shad, a lot of bait. Did see a lot of gizzard shad out there too, a lot of thread fin. So, I mean, you're seeing the bait is definitely there, and I think as Gentry alluded to, if you've got a plastic Big Mac and you throw it out there, and they got a real Big Mac, who's going to win? And that makes it a little bit more challenging. But some things that did work out well for us. Of course, we the chatterbaits catching a lot of fish, and again, really looking at that 8 to 4 foot depth range is really where the fish seem to be congregating on the outsides of either grass lines, the inside of grass lines, anywhere around the creek channels, the deeper creek channels in the main lake. But chatterbait was a great bait that caught a lot of fish for us. Another good bait, especially when you see them come up schooling, as a top water. But I like to throw a small crankbait that seems to catch you a couple of fish here and there as well. And then just trying to, mimic what you're seeing out there as far as bait size goes. Any small kind of worms, things like that, that small Cinco, those kind of things that just simulate a bait fish. And especially when they're aggressive, you tend to get bit pretty quick. We were definitely in that 20-pound range in our 5 best, but I mean, we had a good day of catching fish. The same thing, the previous trip we went. So, it's I think you're going to have to move around a lot to come up with those larger bags. I think you're going to have to move around a lot or commit to something. The flipping bite or pitching bite's coming on. We did catch some fish that way, but just not the largest fish of the day. So that's probably going to change here in the next few days, next week or two. And of course, the frog bite's going to come on. It's going to get better and better. Some of the areas I fished, it seemed like the grass was a little thick, hadn't cheesed up really good yet, but we got a couple of pushes, but it really wasn't that exciting. And to rat fish all day and commit to it, it better be exciting. You know how that is.
Well, brother, we appreciate everything. Thanks for the input. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Well, that wraps up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, September the 13th. Thanks to the guys for helping us put a few fish in the boat. Their information is always very on time and helpful. Thanks to you for being the best part of Bucks Island. We hope this helps you put a few fish in the boat. We are here if you need anything from parts, service, or if you're looking for that new dream boat, we got it. Come see us at Bucks Island. You are our favorite part of our business. Thank you.